Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Brief.
Finally, we are waking up to some positive news this morning. Only 68 new cases of coronavirus have been confirmed in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of Israelis with COVID-19 to 14,466 and counting. That's an increase of only 23 infected over the night before, which is a massive drop. Right now, 129 people are in serious condition, though, down from 133 the night before, and 96 are on ventilators. 202, however, have passed away from COVID-19 in Israel, but luckily, 6,796 Israelis have now recovered from the coronavirus. One case, however, is shaking the country. An 11-year-old girl with COVID-19 has just been put on a ventilator, making her the youngest person in Israel to be in serious condition. The young girl is from Tiberias, and she was apparently brought to the hospital on Friday vomiting, with a high fever and a lack of appetite. And since then, her condition has reportedly worsened, and her heart has been affected by complications with the virus. Before her case, the youngest person in Israel to require ventilation was 19 years old. Coronavirus regulations have gotten a bit more confusing within the last 24 hours after the Israeli government seemingly could not figure out how far they're willing to allow locals to venture away from their homes. The cabinet has now approved that starting after Independence Day on Wednesday, the 500-meter limitation on the distance from home that Israelis can exercise will be lifted. In other words, locals will finally be able to run wherever they please. And there was initial confusion over this directive, though, after Public Security Minister Gilad Erdan tweeted that the limitation had been immediately removed. Under the current rules, Israelis are still required to remain within 100 meters of their homes unless they're going out for something essential like buying food, medicine, or seeking medical care. But police have admitted that enforcing such a rule is basically unfeasible. Well, as more regulations roll back, police will have a lot more work attempting to ensure that businesses comply to hygiene rules. And after Independence Day, gyms are also set to open. Bed and breakfasts will be permitted to reopen, along with some schools as well. So since Saturday night, stores that aren't in shopping malls are allowed to operate as long as they adhere to guidelines regarding cleanliness. Israeli Memorial Day begins sundown today, but of course, government restrictions over COVID-19 have made normal traditions and ceremonies impossible, like the main tradition of visiting the graves of fallen soldiers. There are 53 military cemeteries in Israel, and every year on Memorial Day, they become the most densely visited sites across the country. So this year, with lockdowns over the coronavirus just starting to lift, the health ministry has barred families from cemeteries on the day itself. Instead, families have been encouraged to visit in small groups over days leading up to Memorial Day. And that's not all. Travel between cities in general has been barred on Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, or Memorial Day and Independence Day, respectively. So for the next 2 days, prepare for evening lockdowns similar to those imposed over Passover. Meanwhile, the annual Memorial Day events and ceremonies conducted at the Western Wall in Jerusalem and at the Mount Herzl National Cemetery will be held without public participation. All major public ceremonies will be moved online or to TV. Still, a fighter jet flyover during the ceremony will be included, as will the annual 2-minute siren, which rings out across the country, denoting a moment of silence. And then, of course, there will still be 2 reading of the names ceremonies, one for fallen soldiers and another for victims of terror. 76 names have been added this year, including active and retired veterans and terror victim Rina Schnurb. Moving to politics, the Israeli Labor Party has officially voted to join the government in spite of over a year of promises not to sit under a prime minister facing criminal charges. But as many as 3,800 people who make up the Labor Party's Central Committee were eligible to vote on the move, and 64% of those who did vote have approved it. So has the Labor Party abandoned its principles entirely? Well, party chief Amir Peretz says no. They are not joining a right-wing government either, but an egalitarian unity government with a rotating premiership. And he adds that their strategic cooperation with Benny Gantz of the Blue and White Party will help return Labor to its former political strength. For 3 decades, Labor has controlled the government as one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, party. And notable members include former Prime Ministers Golda Meir, Yitzhak Rabin, Ehud Barak, and Shimon Peres. But today, after 3 elections and a division from the Zionist Union, it sits with just 3 members in the Knesset.
That's all for now, but for more news from Israel, remember to like ILTV on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.